I've got bad news for you. Unfortunately, you're probably learning English wrong, and you're probably doing it backwards. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about how you're probably learning English backwards and how you can actually switch that around to make a lot more progress a lot faster without wasting your time. Why do I say that you're learning English backwards? Now, of course, there's a lot of different ways of learning English. But what I'm talking about here is the traditional way of learning a language. What most likely you have gone through has gotten you to this point, meaning that you can understand what I'm saying. So in that sense, good job. That system, whatever you've done so far, has gotten you some results, and that's really great. But odds are, if you're watching this video, you're not totally satisfied with your level of English. Now, most likely, you can understand things and you can read and write well, but something's wrong with the way that you're speaking, probably connected to your accent, how people understand you, or whether or not you feel confident when you speak. The traditional way of learning languages, so let's call it the school approach, generally goes like this. First, you learn some vocabulary. And once you've memorized that vocabulary, you learn to put it together in sentences. And you do this by learning all kinds of grammar rules, which you'll then be tested on later on. And so the traditional process is basically learn vocabulary, learn grammar, and then pass a test. So yes, partly because it's easier to evaluate you and put you in this kind of box, the traditional education system prepares you to pass a test. Now, there are some good things about tests. However, I'm not a big fan of this traditional approach for everything, because even though it might prepare you to get a really good score on your TOEIC exam or TOEFL exam or just your regular high school exam, it doesn't prepare you for real life. It doesn't prepare you as well as you could be for real conversations, for meetings, for presentations, for talks on the phone. And in today's international connected business world, that's what you need. A test won't change much. Now, as I mentioned before, this traditional approach can be good to get you started. Now, once you've learned a bit of vocabulary and you can make your first sentences, then yeah, you might feel like you're able to do some things, and of course that's a great feeling. However, you're probably doing it backwards in the sense that most traditional education systems, whether it be a textbook or with a class or a teacher or whatever the system is, what they usually do is they'll teach you pronunciation at the very, very end, if they do teach it at all. They're going to teach you these things as an advanced thing. Now, I can understand why they do this. Most teachers don't have the skills. Most classrooms and textbooks don't have the resources to be able to teach you these things. So, well, they don't talk about them. But unfortunately, as you probably noticed already, the way that you say things, the way that you pronounce words, the way you use expressions is very, very dependent on how people understand you in order to create good communication. So if we then switch the order around, and at this point here, if you're not making a lot of progress, that's probably what you need to be doing, we can just change the pronunciation and put it more towards the beginning. And that's ultimately the process that we do here at Lato Language Coaching. We take people who already understand and speak some English, and we help them get to the point where they're able to feel big, confident, and sound natural when they speak, so that people don't ask them to repeat themselves all the time. So what we do here is we start first with pronunciation. And I believe this is what people should do generally in language classes overall. Now, think about it. If you learn to pronounce things exactly the right way, you know how to string a sentence and feel confident and make it sound natural when you say it, people won't ask you to repeat yourself. They'll understand the first time. And when that happens, imagine how much more confident you feel knowing that you won't have to repeat yourself. You don't have to doubt yourself when you're about to say something. And well, your message gets across the first time. It feels a lot better. So you're going to want to practice more by talking to people, by asking questions, by giving a presentation, by making that phone call, instead of procrastinating and letting your fear take over. So the first step here is really understanding the tools that you have. What are the tools that you're working with? Now, you might realize this already if you've watched some of our other videos, but the way that you move your mouth is the main factor determining how you sound. If you move your mouth in the same way as a native speaker, well, you're going to sound like a native speaker. Pronunciation is a physical process, and most people don't understand that. I'm going to repeat this because it's important. Pronunciation is a physical process. If you move your mouth in the same way as a native speaker, you're going to sound like a native speaker. Now, once you really understood your mouth and you really understand what it is that you're doing, what is it when you speak that makes people notice right away that, well, this is not clear. This person's first language is not English, and they might even notice right away where you're from and feel like they want to speak to you in your language, which might be fun at first, but your goal here is to learn English, right? So the first thing is really understanding what it is you're doing right and wrong that makes it hard for people to understand you and makes it unnatural the way that you speak. The second step here is to actually retrain the tools that you have. So retraining your mouth to be able to produce the right sounds, but also retraining your ears to be able to hear the difference between certain terms. A common example that our clients work through all the time is the difference between sheet and shit. Do you hear the difference? Sheet, shit. Now, are you able to say these words differently? Sheet, shit. And when you do, are you able to use them in the right situation? Part of the training that we do with our clients is actually working through these differences so that you're able to not only make these sounds correctly, but do so easily. So you need to retrain your mouth. Now, part of this involves actual physical exercises because the muscles in your mouth are probably the same as mine. Unless you have some kind of, physical disability in your mouth that prevents you from making certain movements, you have exactly the same abilities as anybody else. It's just a matter of training your muscles so that it's possible and easy for you to make these sounds consistently. Now that third step, the final step, is actually where it becomes quite interesting, and it's actually what takes a lot more time. Odds are, if you're watching this, you've been learning English for many, many years. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So you've built up a lot of bad habits. I think of the classic example of for example, in school in France, for example, you might have the teacher saying, "Hello, good morning, how are you?" If the teacher is talking to you like this with a strong accent, they're doing their best. However, you've probably adopted a lot of these bad habits that created the way that you speak right now. So what do we do about it? Well, like I said before, you first find out what's going on, then retrain your muscles, and then we make the whole thing automatic by using the things that you actually use. Now, if you're an engineer, for example, you're a mining engineer, chances are you're going to be using the same kind of vocabulary, very similar types of phrases and expressions over and over again. So if you want to retrain your pronunciation and you want to feel more confident, start with the things that you use all the time. Especially if you have really good feedback and people who are able to help you make those adjustments, you're going to be able to improve continuously using the things you use every day, which means the habits that you've built over time are going to be able to change much more quickly. People respond much better to the way that you're speaking, and you're of course going to feel a lot better. Afterwards, you can move into new areas with new vocabulary, new expressions, new topics, using the new skills that you have. Think about the first language you learned, your mother tongue, your native language. Did you learn it by taking a bunch of classes and learning through a textbook and all that kind of stuff? No, of course. The first thing you did was use your ears and learn to listen carefully, and then you did your best to recreate the sounds that your parents were making. And as you did this, at first it sounded a bit strange, but as you developed the muscles in your mouth and your ears, and you created that kind of coordination through practice, you got really good at it. And of course, now you're a native speaker in your language. What we're doing here at Lato Language Coaching, the process that we're going to teach you, is very, very similar to this. Mind you, it's a lot more structured, and you're an adult now. So it goes a lot faster than if you were a baby. But still, we're trying to emulating the process of your brain's natural learning methods in order to get as quick natural progress as possible. Now, this is again a really quick overview, but to recap here, you're probably learning English the wrong way. And the way that you've learned it has probably gotten you to the point where you are now, which is great. But if you want to get to that next level where you can sound and feel like a native speaker, or at least feel big and confident and clear when you talk, you have to change your approach. And if you're using the traditional approach, you're probably doing it backwards. You have to go back to a more natural way where you get a lot of feedback, a lot of skills, training, and tools in order to help you learn these things. Now, it doesn't take actually very, very long out of your day. You work with all kinds of really busy professionals who have 3 kids, 2 jobs, working in high-level positions, and focus on their health and family and friends. So don't worry, this is definitely doable for you as well. Now, if you have any more questions about how you can actually implement this in your life, or you want to know more about our methods, strategies, and how you can actually improve, we offer one-on-one and group coaching to our clients. So if you're curious about this, just drop us a comment down below or send us a message. Apply for a free discovery call at latolanguage.com, and we'll see you there. Talk soon. Good luck.